Morning, everybody.
Hello,
Hi, James. Hi, Very.
how are you?
Good. Pretty good for a Wednesday. No complaints.
Okay, you guys should be able to see my screen, right?
You can see it.
Okay, perfect.
I think we'll get started at about 5 after. Give everyone a chance to join. So
Not a problem.
oh, James, the sample questions are finished and
Oh,
for you for the sugar market exam. So
oh, are they in Sugar U now? The sample questions?
yeah, the exam is up. I just have to tweak the settings. You should be able to see it though in the catalog. But
Hmm.
I have to just go back and recheck the settings to make sure that um the settings are done or done correctly, I should say. But if you want to go in there and take a peek at it, you can.
Okay, I'll put a note to remind myself. Sample
Yeah,
exam.
no problem. And
Thank you.
yeah, no problem. And I added the objectives that you gave me for each of the questions. So it's like 15 questions and they're all attached to the objective. So you should see it.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem. All right, looks like we have about 14 people who have joined us. We're waiting on more people to join. So we'll get started in about at about 5 after. Give more people time to join. Alrighty, if you are just joining us, we're going to give it about 4 minutes before we get started, just to give everyone a little bit of time to join us. So we'll get started at 5 after. All righty, let's go ahead and get started. It looks like we have quite a few people on the call. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us for the Sugar Market Academy webinar series. Today we'll have a really good discussion about using Sugar Market for asset downloads. Veery is going to be our subject matter expert. So Veery, I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself and take it from there.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. My name is Veery, as Shara mentioned, and today we are going to go over our how to use Sugar Market for asset downloads. So obviously you guys know Shara now and myself, but we are going to go over, this is our nice little agenda. We're going to go over the purpose of using our Sugar Market for asset downloads. The asset download types and how you can use them. We can do new versions of assets, sending out price sheets, product catalogs, whatever you need to send out to your customers, as well as form submission asset delivery. So once someone submits a form, you can send them the asset that they've requested. So we'll go over that and how you can use that and set that up in Sugar Market. We'll also go over our takeaways and additional resources. So with that, let's get started. So
Right. Sorry, I just wanted to say, for the audience, if you have questions, feel free to enter your questions in the Q&A. I think we discovered last session that the chat is a little wonky. So if you have questions, you can go ahead and use the Q&A, or you can raise your hand and I can monitor that as Veery goes through the presentation. Then of course, we'll allow for questions at the end as well. All right, sorry about that, Veery.
No, you're perfectly fine. Thank you. Okay, so let's get started. Oh, sorry, there we go. Okay, so purpose. So why should you be using Sugar Market to deliver your assets? Right? What's the purpose of it? So obviously your business is moving fast and you really don't have time to be sending these assets manually to everybody who's requesting them. So you can use Sugar Market to make sure that they always receive what they're asking for, what you need, and what they need. You can use this for gating any assets. This way, they fill out a form, they give us their information, you get new and lead contact information, and they receive that asset. So it's a good way of gating your content. Sugar Market gives you the ability to send out assets when they're requested. So again, you don't have to worry about it and send it manually. In some ways that we can use it is new versions of assets, sending out via email, and then from form submissions. So let's take a look as to what those are and how we can set them up. So the first one is going to be our new versions of assets. So we can send them, for instance, you need to update them with the latest catalog, the latest price sheet. Super easy to do it, super simple. With Sugar Market, all you have to do is start creating an email. You can add an image to say, hey, this is going to be your new price sheet or new catalog. Have a nice little button down there that once they click it, they get that asset. They can download it, save it onto their computer, print it out, whatever that might be. And you can send it to, different segments in your database. You can send it to your entire database. It's really up to you. Again, super simple. You just upload your asset to the asset library. You can, create your email, add your content, whatever you want to let them know, and then just send out. Super simple, super easy. The next one that we have is our asset delivery from form submissions. So again, once someone submits a form, they get a nice asset. So this can be configured in the action step of the form builder. So you will have to have a couple things that you need to set up. That will be a nurture, a form, and a landing page, and we'll go over how to set those up. But once someone submits the form, they can get added to that nurture, and it will deliver that asset straight into their inbox. Okay. Now, how can you make sure that they receive it? So the great thing about Sugar Market is that everything kind of connects, right? You can set up, again, a nurture a workflow so that once they submit that form, they get entered into this workflow. The first thing that we want to do is send them a follow-up email saying, thank you for, submitting the form. Here's your asset, download it, right? You can have a link in there. From there, we can actually add a couple little steps to make sure that they're downloading this. And if they don't, we can just send it again. So for instance, in this scenario, we have it sending over. We have checking. You can do the link click element to check, a day or two. You choose your time frame. And then after that, if it checks and says, hey, they did click, then in this case, we're going to notify our sales team that they've downloaded the asset, right? You can additionally from there, you can also, have additional steps, send them more information in regards to what they downloaded, all that good stuff. If they didn't though, we want to make sure that they get this information. So we can send a follow-up email to let them know, hey, we notice you haven't clicked, you haven't downloaded, here's the link again. Same thing, we have another link click step just to make sure, hey, that they click. If they did, great, we want to send them to sales. If they didn't, it's kind of our last attempt, our last hurrah to try to get them to download. And in this case, just giving them like, hey, don't miss your opportunity to download this, ebook, catalog, whatever it might be. Then after that, obviously, we're going to do another link click. If they did, we're going to send them to sales because that's the main goal here. And then if they didn't, we're just going to end that nurture for them. But this is going to allow you to make sure that they don't miss out on your content that you're trying to deliver to them. Okay. So moving on from there, what you need to create, like I mentioned, there are a few steps that you need to do in order to make sure that all of this works perfectly and smoothly. So the first thing that you will need to do is add your file to the asset library, or you can actually host your file publicly on your website. So you can have that link ready to go. After that, we're going to make sure that we build out our nurture with the steps that we want. Again, in this scenario, we want to make sure that they deliver, and we're going to try to send it over at least 3 times if they don't click on that. After that, we're going to build out our form and make sure that we map any fields that we want to store. Now, you do have the option to push this over to CRM or just have it live in SugarMarket. It's really up to you. Once we, create our form, map all those fields, on the last step, on the action step, we just want to make sure that we have a catch-all rule to make sure that we add these people who have filled out this form to our nurture. Okay, and I'll go over how to create that and how to set that up. And then the last portion on here is going to be to build out our SugarMarket landing page. We want to make sure that we add, any information, any details, images, whatever you want to add to your landing page, add our published form. And then once we're happy with this, we go ahead and publish it and make sure that we send out that link out to people or wherever you need to place that link. Okay. So with that, I'm actually going to switch over and show you all of this in SugarMarket and how we set it up. So give me 2 seconds. Okay. So obviously, first things first here, we have SugarMarket. I'm pretty sure everybody is familiar with how SugarMarket looks. As I mentioned, the first thing that you want to do is make sure that you upload your asset if you're going to host it here in SugarMarket to the asset library. So I'm going to just open our menu over here and you'll have this in here. So from here, you can actually add it and add an asset. It's going to pull up, your window to upload whatever you need in here. You can do images, you can do PDFs, all that information can live in here. Once you do that, we're going to start off with our email since that's the first thing that we covered. You're going to create a nice little email, just regular email, nothing fancy. Make sure that you set up everything here. Then in your type, you can select a template or you can go from one of those themes or start from scratch. It's really up to you. Once you go over to your build step, design it. You know, it's very straightforward. You're just sending an updated document. So price sheet, you can use merge tags to personalize your email. You can use an image just to kind of give them a preview of what they're going to be downloading. And then you get to add your button. Now in the button, you would then go in here. You're going to copy, if you're hosting it on your website, you can put in the link right there. If you're hosting it here in Sugar Market, and I'm going to go back real fast to get the link for your asset, you just click on that specific asset. You go to the context menu and you get that URL. Okay, so you just copy it and then you can paste that in here. So super simple. You can just update it. You can preview it, make sure that it's, you know, what you want. You can send a test to make sure that it's coming out perfectly. And then once you're ready, you can go ahead and just select who you're going to be sending this out to. Super simple, super easy. And you get to send out the updated versions of your documents. Okay, so that's the first way that you can do. You can use Sugar Market for asset delivery. And then jumping on to the delivery from form submissions. So as I mentioned, there is kind of an order of what you're supposed to create. And it just makes it easier for you so you don't have to go back and forth when you're creating these things. So when you are setting up your nurture, and I'm going to go back to my basics, obviously you want to make sure that you have a nice nurture name, a nice naming convention for any nurture that you create, nice description. And then the last thing here on your basics is that you want to make sure that you allow people to pass through this nurture more than once, because you want to allow them, let's just say that Ted wants to submit the form and get the asset a couple times. That will allow Ted to be able to do that and pass through this multiple times here. Okay, if not, once they submit it, they can't do it again. Layouts, as you guys know, you guys can select from our themes or you can start from a blank theme. In our case, I'm sorry, this kind of got all wonky. You're going to design your nurture, like what you want them to go through. So as I mentioned, from submitting a form, I want them to get a thank you email. And I went ahead and created one for you. Just super simple. Again, you go through this normal steps of setting up your email. Type, I like to use a template. And then just make sure that you give them the right information that they need. Again, I added a picture, just kind of giving them a preview of what they're about to download. Same thing as with the email that we sent for our updated document. You will use this button. And again, when you go to configure it, I do have it saved in my asset library. So I just went ahead and updated that link to match that. And after that, that was pretty much it on this. We hit complete, make sure that everything is good. After my initial email is sent, I want to make sure that I am checking to see if they clicked on that link. So in my link click element, I make sure that I specify a specific link, give the system that specific email that I'm looking for and that link. So I'm just trying to make sure that they've clicked on that download button, and I'm going to give them a day. Okay, just to give them that that time frame. Once that is sent, it's checked. If they've clicked on it, we're going to alert the sales team to let them know, hey, they've downloaded the asset, you know, do your thing, call them, follow up with them. If they didn't, I'm sending up another email. Same thing, just say, hey, thanks. Just a quick reminder. After that, I want to check to make sure that they've downloaded. If they have, great. That's essentially our goal. We're going to send them over to our sales team. If not, we're going to give them one last attempt to reach out to them. Now, when you're sending out your last email, honestly, I do recommend that you give them some sort of, hey, this is your, you know, last chance to get your download. Just kind of puts a little bit more of urgency in that for them to download that asset. So we're just going to try one more time. After that, I'm just going to go ahead and click next. Once we do that, again, the last thing, we're going to check once more. If they do, great, we're sending them over to our sales team. If not, we can then just end the nurture for them. Obviously, if you wanted to, you can also add them to a list, that you can try to market to at a later time. After sending them to sales, you can also send another email and just say, thank you so much for your download. Here's additional information. So you do have options of having more information on there that you can share with them. So after you do your workflow, make sure you validate your nurture, make sure that everything is good. And after that, we're going to go over to our next step. Now, when we're connecting a nurture to a form, you don't need to add anything in here because essentially that form will trigger this nurture to start going. So you don't need to include anyone in here. You don't need to put in any list. It will be a trigger nurture. Okay. After that, once you're done editing, setting up your nurture, you want to make sure that you publish your nurture right away. And the reason why is because once we move over to our form to build out and everything, we need to have that nurture published so we can select it from our list. So after our nurture is built, we go over to our form builder. In this case, we do have form type, so we want to make sure that it is an asset download. You do have different options from here that you can choose from, and this is really internal. This is for you to know what type of form it is. One of the things that I will say is under the description, I recommend that you add the URL of where this form is living on, just in case you need to go and update it, you know exactly where it lives. For this particular form, we are going to add URL parameters. So I'm going to enable URL parameters, and that will be shown in our next step, which is our build step. From here, this is where we get to set up our form, not make it pretty. That's going to come on the next step, but this is just the order of the fields that we want. As I mentioned, you want to make sure that you map your fields to the right fields so that value gets stored in SugarMarket. If you don't want it to be stored at all, you don't have to map your fields, but it is recommended. Okay. So as you can see here, you will also have your URL parameters that will be captured in here. And once you have all that done, you can go over to your style step. And from here, you get to make it pretty. You get to design it however you want, and you can obviously preview it before. Once you do this, you can then go over to your action step where we get to determine what we want to happen after that form is submitted. So the first things that you can see here is, do you want to sync this with your CRM? Do you want this information to pass over to CRM directly? If you do, you can then just go ahead and click yes. You don't have to, you can just leave it here in SugarMarket. You do need to add a redirect URL. So you can do a thank you page. You can do it to that same link that you had where this form lives. So it looks like it refreshed. It's really up to you, but you do need to have this in order to be able to publish it. You are also able to alert people in case, you want to, like you can do it on submit, you can do it, daily or weekly. So in this case, I want to just get notified every time someone submits it. Okay. After that, this is the most important thing in order for all of this to work. You want to make sure that you set up your form submission rules and set up a catch-all to say, hey, anybody who submits this form, I want them to go through my nurture that I just built. So the first thing is you are going to set up your condition, and this is going to be the catch-all. It's going to be the email. If their email contains @ because every email is different, but they all have that same character, which is our @ symbol. It's going to say, hey, if their email contains @ then I want them to do something. So from here, we're going to set up our action. So I want to make sure that I add them to my nurture. So I'm going to select add nurture 2.0. And then from here, it gives you all the available nurtures that you have, all the published nurtures. So that's why it's very important that you create your nurture first, then you do your form so that you can select it. So once you select it, and I'm just going to leave it as is because I had already selected it, you go ahead and select, and then you hit publish. Okay. So from here, you are going to go ahead and move on to your landing page, the last step in here. So I've already created my landing page, excuse me. But you can design it however you want. Okay. You can make it pretty and flashy and all that good stuff. But the most important thing is that you need to add your form in here. So from here, you are going to make sure that you select our form and put it in here. Once you do, it's actually going to give you the option to select the form that you want. So again, any published form will show up in here. I just want to make sure I get the right one. If you make any updates to your form, I will, if you make any updates, I'm going to make sure that I refresh and make sure that that is the most updated version of my form in there. Okay. So once you do that, you can save, you can preview it, make sure that it is what you want. And after that, you get to publish it. Once you get it published, you know, you're going to get a nice little message here. It says, hey, this is the link, and you can click on view page and you will be able to see and use this wherever you need to. That is pretty much the nice little workflow that you get to set up. Again, it's very just straightforward. So you can definitely use that. And I think that James wanted to show a little extra for kind of URL parameters in a way, an advanced version. So.
Yes, of course. Yeah, because when you're using landing pages, you may want to have your landing page on different areas, on different social media platforms, on emails, on your website. And for reporting purposes, you may want to know exactly where somebody is submitting your form from. Now, in Sugar Market, there is no URL builder, UTM parameter builder as such, but you'll see here, we have actually just searched in Google for parameter builder, and this brings up campaign URL builder in here. So as you can see, Vivi has placed in the URL for the landing page at the top. And then all you add in further down on here, say this is for LinkedIn, you can see our source is LinkedIn, our campaign medium is social, and what have we got here? What is the landing page? What are they downloading? So best practice guide on here. All I do then is once you put it into here, it generates a URL for you. So the URL down the bottom would then go into your LinkedIn post. And then you can easily edit this and maybe switch out the campaign source to, it's not Twitter anymore, is it X on there, I guess, or Facebook, or wherever you want to put that. Same for where it says campaign medium is social, you could have email in there or website. And then what will happen is when they submit the form, back then in Sugar Market, so if we go back in and we go to the form section, back in, do you have the form open as well? I think we do. Yeah, if you want to open up the forms, we can go in and have a look at the UTM parameters. So you'll see on step one, what we did is we clicked on and turned on the UTM parameters on here. So we have the extra boxes, which means we'll get extra reporting when they submit using the UTM parameters. And then on the form itself, you'll then see these are kind of the standard setups in here. So we have UTM source, medium, campaign, content, term. You don't have to use all of them. They are there, but you don't have to use them. Also, the values you see in there, UTM underscore source, UTM underscore medium, that's what the value is looking for. It's kind of the same setup as you have for Google parameters on there, but you can actually change what that is. The UTM's in here if you have a different parameter you're looking for. But what this means is when you submitted the form, we would then capture the source, the medium in there, and the campaign in here. So it will pull that information through. So if we go back on here, very back to manage, so we can exit on there, back to this, the main area for where the forms are. And then you see the reporting on the right-hand side. It shows a 0 right now. But if we had any form submissions, you can click on reports, individual form results. And in here, we'll list all the answers. And then you'll have 3 extra columns showing you who's had social, who's had email, which social platform, the campaign name in here as well. So you can see maybe it came from different campaigns you were in. So one came from summer campaign, we had another campaign that was for autumn or for fall in here. And you can see how many submissions came from social. So we had 30% from social, 50% from the website, and only 20% from the email. So you're seeing which channel is actually getting you most submissions, most downloads on your documents, your case studies, your white papers that you may have. So that's just a little tip on using an outside URL to use your UTM parameters on your landing pages. And that UTM parameters only works on forms embedded in our Sugar Market landing pages.
Perfect. Thank you,
And I
James.
think you've got that link as well in the slide
Yeah,
deck. Is that right?
yes, I do. And I
In
will
the
share.
resources. Okay. I'll let you carry on, Puri.
Perfect. Thank you so much, James. Okay, so obviously now we're heading over to our takeaway. So what did we learn today? Obviously, asset delivery can be easily managed with Sugar Market. It's, your one-stop shop for asset delivery. You can send any updated documents to that your business needs to send, such as price sheets, catalogs, anything you need from Sugar Market to your entire database. Again, you can segment, you can decide who will need to get that. And then lastly, you can deliver white papers, case studies, price sheets, you name it. When someone fills out a form, you have the system send a few times and, just check to make sure that they've downloaded the file from the initial email. If not, we're going to try to get them to download that. And then again, you can have multiple steps. You don't have to just stop as like notifying your team or a specific user. You can send them additional emails, additional resources for what they've downloaded. Okay. And as James just mentioned, there are additional resources here. Obviously, if you guys have any questions whatsoever, you can always ask your Sugar Market consultant. If you have one, you can also reach out to our Sugar support team. We do have our Sugar support site, our knowledge base. We have Sugar Club, which is a great resource. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, please do so. You can learn a lot of things, not just Sugar Market, but just in general, any sugar product. We also have Sugar U, where you can learn a little bit more about different things from, from sugar. And then the last link that we've included in here is the campaign URL builder, which is the thing that you guys just saw. It's a free and easy site to use. So you can definitely use that. But that is pretty much it for our asset download session today.
I think we do have a couple of questions as well.
Fabulous.
So the first one we have on here is, when you click on send format test, what exactly does it send and where does it send to? And this is from Carlos. And my guess, Carlos, is this is to do with when you're sending out a test email. Is that correct? I don't know if you want to come off. I don't know. Charlotte has the power to take somebody off mute.
Yes, I do. Let's see. Carlos, here you go. All righty. The mic is yours, Carlos.
Oh, Carlos, I think you're still muted.
Are you there? I think
Yes,
he
he's there.
left.
Yeah, so it is when you,
Okay,
so in other
okay.
words, it's when you send a test email. So if you want to show when you go to a test email, how to actually send out a test email from Sugar Market and who it sends to.
Let's see, sorry. I have too many tabs open. Anybody who knows me knows that I have always way too many tabs. So when you send out a test email, you're going to get the chance to say, hey, do I want to send it to just myself or to anybody else? Once you do that, I always recommend that you actually add the test to subject, just so that you don't get confused, especially if you're sending a lot of things. Once you send out the test email, it's going to send it to that email address that you set it to. If it's multiple people, they'll all get the same thing. And you'll get just a version of what that email is going to look like. I hope that answers your question, Carlos.
Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Okay, perfect.
Any other questions?
The next one is from Matthew. So when someone submits a form, does their information get overwritten in Market, or does it create a new contact for the record?
It does get, if they are in the system and you choose, sorry, I am going to go back to my form builder. Here we go. And if you choose to overwrite their information, so there is an overwrite data, you can't overwrite their information. If they're not in the system, it will create a new lead for them.
And the key field on here, the key field that looks for a record, is actually the email field. So the email is the key definer on, do we create a new record for this person? So if they put in a personal email address as opposed to their business one, the one that you have stored, it will generate a new record on here. But if they put in the same email address that's already stored in the database, it will simply say, it's the same person. So what we'll do is we'll update their phone number or overwrite any information they already have if you've got the overwrite button checked in here.
Perfect. Okay. Any other questions?
Another one for you. So Ross on him. Hey, Ross. You showed a form fill. It starts with a nurture campaign to send an email with an asset to the contact. Why would we do this rather than just allow the asset to download immediately? What are the benefits of the nurture versus the alternative?
So we want to capture their information. We want to capture additional information from them. Obviously, we want to make sure that we get that information. And then we, again, like I mentioned in our example, I want to notify that sales team, and have them go at it once that's done. So you can also provide them with additional information now that we've already captured that. We know that they've downloaded this particular asset, and we want to send them more information. So it just kind of all ties in rather than just allowing them to download this and that's it, kind of forget about it and we don't follow up with them again. So you just want to make sure that you're constantly following up with them.
And what I'd say, Ross, as well, is you can actually, when they submit the form, you could direct them straight to the download if you've got it hosted publicly, as you mentioned on there.
That's what I was thinking. I mean, that's the more traditional way of doing it. So I was curious to know why the email thread afterwards. It's good that you can trigger a nurture. That in general is good. I think it's just the use case. I was curious about why you would require them kind of to go to their email and check an email to actually download the asset, if there was benefit in that.
For me, it would be if it was on your website. Okay. And then because obviously this may be a new lead, a new person, they could put in any email address, could be incorrect. Could even be theirs. And then they can get straight to the PDF. They could put, abc@123.com.
Oh, that's true.
And then what we're doing, if you're sending an email to them, and if they don't engage at all, we can then say, well, actually, they've put in an incorrect email in there, but it's confirming that email address that they've put into the system is correct and is active.
That makes sense. All right, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. And just kind of circling back to Carlos, I hope you can see my screen. This is what I'm getting, as you can see up here. And sorry, there's just a lot of windows all over the place. But it does say test, gives you that subject line, and you can actually view that email in your inbox. So this is what it would look like. It's just a copy of it. Okay, perfect. Any other questions?
Yes, so we have one from Michael Wagner. Michael asked, can we do a selection of all contacts and leads who have downloaded a specific asset?
So Michael, would that be, I guess it would be, if they download a specific asset, it means that they must have completed a specific form on there to get that asset. So what that means then is if they have to fill out a form to get the asset, then we can obviously, we have a list then of contacts and records. We can pull a list of all the people that have completed that form. If you're giving away the asset for free on this, it's just going to a URL, then we couldn't get that information because it could be anyone who goes there. And when it comes to web tracking, of course, we can't put web tracking in behind a PDF because it's a flat document on there. We can't see that they went to that URL, for example. But if it's hidden behind a form, we can obviously pull together then who submitted that form. We can even pull together the answers they gave as well. So we can then say that they do have, here's a list of everybody who submitted that form and therefore downloaded that asset. Hopefully that makes sense. Michael.
I think Michael's still muted.
No, he.
Yes, thank you.
And hi, Michael. Hope you're doing well.
Are there any default reports to do this? As far as I understood, you need to run a report on the specific form that you designed, who has submitted this form. Are there any standard reports on this available?
If you wanted reports to be automated to be sent to you, that can be done via the custom reports on them. Otherwise, it's just via what you showed earlier, Viri, via the individual form results on here, where you would go in and then export the list directly from. But also, when it's just if the list is just for send out an email campaign on here, so say you want to send an email to all the people who downloaded, you can actually do that directly in the email builder anyway. because you have the option on landing pages. Down there, you can say send to everybody who completed the asset download form.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So there's no need to pull a list. It's already there, really.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
All
Great
right.
questions.
Are there any more questions? Don't be shy.
We don't bite.
Okay. All righty. Well, if we don't have any additional questions, as always, I will add this recording to Sugar University so that you can actually go back and listen to it. And you can also share it with your peers. If you have any questions, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to Veery, James, or myself. And that concludes this session. Have a great day, a great evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.